Some of you may know that there were strong rumours that this place is haunted, and we've tasked the Paranormal Society with seeing what they can do to bring up some Sarah's contemporaries, and they're on the line. Oh no, you're pulling my leg. Well, thank you very much. I'm speechless. That was the Paranormal Society, and they've been seancing like mad. And hello, yeah, they've been seancing like mad, and I think we have someone about to appear. Come and join us.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's all yours, Sarah.
Thank you. Greetings, sisters and brothers. Greetings, comrades all. And thank you for this fine tribute. Who would have thought that almost 125 years after I added my name to the title deeds of this very building, that I would bear witness to this most wonderful tribute? Do I deserve it? Well, that's for others to judge, but for my part, I am immensely honoured to accept it on behalf of all those women who gave so much to improve the lives of the people of Bolton, and whose dedication and sacrifice remains largely unrecognised, undervalued and unthanked. Only a handful of women publicly honoured by statue or plaque in the entirety of Bolton. Why, I even have to share my gravestone with my father. Honourable man that he was, I would have thought I at least warranted my own epitaph. In common with most women, my entire adult life was spent in a struggle for the right to occupy my own space in a world dominated by men. That's why I joined the Cooperative Women's Guild. That's why I became a trade unionist. And that's why I was a campaigner for women's suffrage. Not simply to secure the right to vote, but to help to improve the lives of women, children and men who suffered so unjustly under a system that sought only to exploit them. I certainly had no desire to win the vote in order to join the ranks of the oppressors in a rigged and corrupt form of governance. My aim was always to share that system and to change it for the benefit of those it oppressed. Fighting for change was never an easy job. I was a woman after all, and one who left school at the age of 11 to work on a 12-peg winding frame. A disciple of the apostles, they called us. 1 peg for each apostle. A slave to the master, more like. Changing the world was never considered to be the business of a woman such as me. A woman's place is in the home, the men proclaimed. And some of the women too, especially those who enjoyed the fruits of the labour of others. And of course what they really meant was, a woman's only place is in the home. And my reply to such bigotry? My place is also in the cooperative movement, and in the union, and in local government. And I cannot do my job properly in any one of those places without doing it in all of them. I never married, as was my choice. I never had children. It was a circumstance that left me, I confess, with a degree of regret. Yet, For some men, this was taken as an additional sign of my unfitness to speak on behalf of other women. Oh yes. Women such as me found our husbandless, childless circumstance turned into a weapon to attack us, to trivialise the work we did. It's merely a hobby, something to keep us occupied in our otherwise barren lives. Or when we strove to improve the lot of mothers and babies, our childless state was used to undermine our work. You've never been a mother, never had children, what can you know? Men, saying this mind, men who, to put it a little coarsely, barely knew one end of a woman from the other. And all this, while the infant mortality rate in Bolton was almost 150 per 1,000. One baby in every 6, and in the poorest parts of town, it might be double that number. Dead and gone before their first birthdays. Fortunately, there were also wiser men who knew our cause to be right and just, and threw their weight behind our plan to open the first mother and baby clinic in Bolton, and only the second in the country. And over the span of little more than a decade, we brought Bolton's infant mortality rate down to a mere 6 deaths per 1,000, just 6. With our network of clinics doing splendid work, helping and supporting poor mothers in the skills of motherhood. I have so many fond memories of Wood Street and this club. We brought Mrs. Pankhurst to speak on the suffrage question, Eleanor Marx and William Morris on socialism. We ran for the town council, the school board, the distress committee, the poor law guardians. And when women were banned from becoming poor law guardians, we formed a committee to fight for our return. And we won. We were everywhere, on the town hall square, with the Clarion van, spreading the word of socialism, harassed by the town council and the police, and ultimately banned, would you believe? Oh, but they were heady days. We built our trade unions, we built our political parties, and we won the vote. But more than that, we worked among the women mill workers to raise their awareness of the world in which they lived. We knew that among those women and men lay the real engine for social and political change, their combined strength as workers. And we understood that the fuel to drive that engine of change was in education. Education about the nature of the world, education about the origin of profits and the terrible toll paid by workers in capitalism's relentless pursuit of it. But also education about how to organise, both in the home to allow more time for leisure and learning, and in our trade unions and our political parties to fight poverty, injustice and the bias against women everywhere. And what I learned in those days is that there was no substitute for the day-to-day work of talking to fellow workers about organising to build an alternative. An alternative to the rotten, corrupt forms of governance that kept our families in poverty, children in ignorance and all in poor health. That condemned our young men to early deaths in futile wars, or to illness and destitution if they managed to return it in one piece. And speaking from the privileged position of someone who has been dead these 100 years, I don't believe that has changed one bit. That is still the work, maybe now more than ever, that needs your urgent attention, sisters and brothers. We believed then a better world was possible. We achieved some of the things we set out to do, but much work remained. So while I am delighted and honoured by this wonderful memorial, I want to share it with all of the wonderful women with whom I was fortunate to work alongside, and with all you women who have carried the flame into the present day. My great friends and allies, Esther Roper and Eva Gore Booth, giants of our movement. Selina Cooper and Sarah Dickinson, two tireless campaigners for suffrage and workers' rights. Cissy Foley and Hannah Mitchell and many others who worked tirelessly and selflessly for our cause. And those women whose work ensured the continued existence of Bolton Socialist Club. Dorothy Entwistle and Shirley Marsland, Wendy Pye and Eileen Murphy. More recently, Liz Perry, Sylvan Davis, Trudy Chilton, Julia Simpkins, Nikki Salmon and Joan Pritchard-Jones. Tireless women trade unionists Bernadette Gallagher, Andrea Egan, Florence Hill amongst them. And all of you who dare to raise your heads above the parapet, to challenge injustice and inequality wherever it occurs. You are my true heirs, my daughters and sons in spirit and in struggle. This is an honour we all share. And so, I issue a rallying call to women everywhere. Join our fight. Join our struggle for justice and equality. For our place is not only in the home, but in the unions and in political life. Now more than ever, as the dark spectres of authoritarianism and global conflict rear their ugly heads, our place is also in the fight to bring an end to poverty, to save our NHS, to demand climate action now, and an end to all wars. That, sisters and brothers, is your place, and where your presence is urgently required. And be assured, I will be marching alongside you, both in spirit and in solidarity, to bring about a better day. Thank you. Thank you. I am honoured to be amongst you. And now, let's have lunch.
Pegeen Murphy. Brilliant. Well done, Pegeen. That's fantastic.